Good evening and welcome to another Channel 8 sports presentation. Tonight from Vince Lombardi Field in Old Bridge, it's East Brunswick meeting Madison Central in a Greater Middlesex Conference Red Division game. Hi, I'm Jimmy Allinder. I'm being joined tonight by Phil Hill. And Phil, the records for the respective teams, East Brunswick 6-1, Madison Central 0-7. It should be a breeze for the Bears.
The only thing that will be a breeze tonight, Jim, is the wind out here. I tell you, the Bears actually have everything going against them right now, believe it or not. I mean, first of all you heard all week was the newspapers and everything was playoffs, playoffs, playoffs. So no matter what Coach Borden tells them, these players are still thinking playoff. They've played fantastic the last 6 weeks. They're playing a team that hasn't won a game at all. And granted, Madison Central is Madison Central, and they know they have to take them seriously, but Madison is very loose. Talked to Bob DeMarco. He said his team had a great practice this week. He feels that if they can hold them early, they're going to be in a game. So I expect a good game tonight.
All righty, and you mentioned that some holding East Brunswick. That's been a problem for a lot of teams. The Bears have been averaging 33 points a game in the last 3 contests against some quality competition. Can Madison Central, do they have the horses to be able to stop the East Brunswick offense?
I don't know. I think what they're going to have to do is hope that their offense can stay on the field a little bit longer so East Brunswick's offense doesn't get the ball.
Exactly.
To have to move it. And they're supposed to be a little better offensively than they have been defensively. He says they're scrappy, they're young, they're getting better each week, and he expects to have a super game.
Okay, and of course the East Brunswick defense has been a major key this year. They've been performing well. What is Madison Central? What can they do? They offer obviously the wishbone offense, but East Brunswick practices against that all the time. What can they do to try to score on East Brunswick's defense?
Well, the same things we talked about last week against Perth Amboy. First of all, they're going to have to establish the fullback. The fullback is the key in the wishbone. If you can get that fullback started, you're going to pull those outside linebackers in, and then you'll be able to get something to the outside. If they can't get that fullback going, then they're going to have a very long night tonight.
Okay, so it seems like the major opponent for East Brunswick is complacency with themselves. Although Madison Central is going to give it its best shot, East Brunswick does need this game to maintain a second seed in the playoffs, and we're going to talk about that a little more as the game goes on. So East Brunswick at Madison Central in Vince Lombardi Field. We'll be back with the action in just a moment. Okay, we're back at Vince Lombardi Field. East Brunswick versus Madison Central. The captains for the respective teams in the middle of the field for the coin toss. For East Brunswick tonight, Matt Skirby, Matt Pazinko, Scott Kammer, and Jim Kale are the respective captains. And for Madison Central, you have Mike D'Amato, number 33. Number 52 is
Dave Lippert.
Dave Lippert, and Mike Stockelberg, number 54. He's one of the veteran players for Madison Central this year. One of the few veteran players, I might add. It's a very young team, inexperience at the beginning of the season, but slowly but surely Bob DeMarco, the Madison coach, has been bringing along these Spartans, and for what he hopes will be a peak effort tonight. That remains to be seen. And the official toss the coin. East Brunswick apparently has won the toss. Well, I didn't know quite what that move was. The official started to move his hands forward, but it looks like East Brunswick will be receiving, defending the goal to our left, and Madison Central obviously kicking off. Phil, the Bears special teams have been a source of pride this year.
One of the real bright spots of the many bright spots for the Bears have been the specialty teams. As we said last year, they seemed to take a vacation, but this year they're back and they're scoring. They're just playing great all-around ball.
Right. For East Brunswick tonight, there's a possibility that Anthony Billings, number 20, will not see action. He injured his knee on the opening kickoff last week against Perth Amboy, a victory for East Brunswick, and we're not sure he's going to be seeing action. And I guess Dave Gehrman will not be seeing action for the Bears.
Right.
Tom Gehrman.
Right. And I understand Billings may be back next week, and Gehrman hopefully for the playoffs.
Okay.
So
East Brunswick will finish at Saraville a week from tonight, being Friday.
And I feel a few drops already, Jim.
Well, the weather could be a factor. There is a threat for rain, but we're hoping that it holds off at least till this game gets over. We're set for the kickoff. R.J. Davis back, but that's not going to go to him. That's 85 for East Brunswick. That's Nugent. Excuse me, Yen. We'll get that out of the way real quick.
Old habits die hard.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to see the field markers on this field, unlike East Brunswick, where the markers are close to the sidelines. You sort of have to look at the fence and sort of gauge where the line is. Nonetheless, East Brunswick will start out on approximately its 40-yard line, it looks like, or 38-yard line. We're underway here, Madison Central, East Brunswick. Mark Neary, the quarterback. Pass is complete.
And I'll tell you, pass to Van Papadopoulos, his first catch of the year.
How about that?
And I tell you, a lot of people don't understand now, and this particularly for his younger brother, Ted. He's been a starter all year. He's earned that spot at starting. He goes downfield and he blocks, and it's great to see him get that catch, but he's been a player.
Okay, Papadopoulos on first catch of the year. East Brunswick gets 8 yards on the play, so it's a 2nd and 2. Neary gives off in the middle, and nothing there.
I'll tell you, a swarming Madison Central defense. And DeMarco says they've been loose, they've been inspired. Not wildly inspired, but controlled. And he says if we can hold them down early, we're going to stay in this game.
So there's no gain on that play. Yardage remains the same. 3rd down and 2. Just underway, 10 minutes and 40 seconds left in the first period, no score. East Brunswick on the opening kickoff. Neary gives to Nien up the middle, and he almost breaks it. One more tackle.
I'll tell you, one more tackle for real. The defender threw his arm out there, number 6, I believe it was, Rob Thiel, and sort of swiped the legs out from under Yin. Otherwise, Yin might have been gone.
And Che Nin has become the workhorse back for East Brunswick, getting the dependable yards. He got the first down on that play, all the way to the 45 of Madison. So East Brunswick will continue there. Another give, this time to Pilato on the near side, and hammered.
I'll tell you, some spirited hitting going on there. Theo coming up from his safety spot. And
looks like D'Amato was in there too, Phil, 33. He's the captain in the linebacker spot for Madison. Pilato only gets 1 yard on the play, so it's 2nd and 9. East Brunswick in the wishbone. Johnson, Pilato, and Yen, the deep backs. And the give is to Yen again, and he breaks out of the pack. Let's see if he can get around Thiel. He does.
And Chi Yin with some good hard running there. Chi Yin comes into this game with 515 yards, Jim, and he has been the workhorse all year. He's starting to pick up larger chunks of yards as the year goes on. So he's really been a force for this Bear offense.
And, of course, the offensive line, we have to speak of them. They've been doing a great job in this streak by East Brunswick. First down for the Bears, and ball advanced all the way to the 30-yard line. Same type of drive we've seen the Bears open up with in the past. That's Neary calling signals, and he looks like he's going to throw. Looks down the middle and almost picked off.
I'll tell you.
That was Bobby Nigam, the defensive back. He was not fooled on that, Phil.
A fine defensive play by Nigam, playing just like a center fielder, and came in to knock that ball down.
Right. The wide receiver, R.J. Davis, who leads East Brunswick, I believe, in touchdown catches with 6, maybe. But nonetheless, he was looking for one there. With the incomplete pass, it's 2nd down for the Bears. Ball on the 30-yard line of Madison Central. Long count here. Pilato on a crossing pattern.
And Pilato on that counter picking up some good yardage, Jim.
Yeah, 5 yards on that play.
Bears starting to mix up the plays rather nicely, getting this Madison Central team off balance.
And that's what they have to do. Madison highly spirited, so you figure they're going to cause a lot of problems, which is why East Brunswick was throwing the ball, certainly on the first time they had the ball. And I would not be surprised to see them try the end zone again, Phil. Madison is playing up and looking for that hard hit. 8:26 remaining in the first period. No score if you've just joined us. And East Brunswick with a 3rd and approximately 5. That's Neary again. Gets away, and I believe he is just around the first down marker. It's going to be close, depends on where they mark it.
Rich Leach on the tackle, number 70.
All right, the official is, I think, calling a 4th down. Ball is just about a length of a football short. And of course, East Brunswick's going to go on this.
And why not, Jimmy? You got a fullback like Yen, who's been picking up good yards. Nobody has brought him down with the first hit that I've seen this year. So you can bet your bottom dollar it's going to go right to him. Okay,
so this is the first 4th down situation the Bears have faced tonight. And they have the advantage on the line. And you saw it there. Nien just pulled his way over top of Skirby and Pazinko. Got the easy 2 yards. And the 4th first down for East Brunswick in this drive. It started from approximately the 38-yard line in their territory. And they've advanced the ball in rather workmanlike fashion here.
I'll tell you, you got to give them credit. The Bears certainly seem focused. We thought they might be somewhat distracted, but apparently Borden has them ready. They seem to be very focused. They know they got a job to do, and they're doing it right now.
Right, they weren't too excited coming onto the field, we noticed, but nonetheless, they're getting the job done here on this drive. Neary gives it to Nyen again. And it's Nyen again and again and again.
I'll tell you, Nyen again.
5th time he's carried the ball in this drive.
Picked up 151 yards last week against Perth Amboy.
Great effort.
And he's just continuing from that point.
We will give Che 3 yards in the play. So it will be 2nd and 7, let's call it. Ball's on the 15-yard line now. In the wishbone, give to
Johnson.
That's Varnell Johnson,
right.
Yes, his first carry of the evening.
And he's brought down near the...
just about the 10-yard line, Phil. 11-yard line. And East Brunswick will be faced with 3rd and approximately 2.5 to 3 yards. Again, the wishbone. Neary calling signals. And
it's to Yen.
I'm not sure he made it. It was a quick handoff to Che Nen.
It's certainly close. He was stacked up there.
Let's see where they mark it. No, he's short, Phil. He needed to get to inside the 10-yard line, and he was stopped. So let's see what we have here. Borden bringing in
the field goal team.
Yes, Ian Cairns. I'm surprised. It's 2 yards to go. You would think that the Bears would try for it, but Borden electing to go for the easy points here. This ball will be spotted on the 17-yard line, so this is a 27-yard attempt. 28 yards, let's call it. Ball's up, and it looks good. Yes. Straight through the middle. Nice touch.
Nice touch. Ian Kearns' 31st point of the year, and he's probably leading the county in kicking points, Jim.
Well, he's doing a great job this year. Cairns coming back from a good season of last year where he holds the East Brunswick record, I believe, for the longest field goal.
That's correct.
48 yards, 47 yards. But East Brunswick gets on the board first here. Score coming with 5 minutes and 7 seconds left in the first period. East Brunswick up 3-0.
And I tell you, Jim, you said they didn't look too excited coming out. They're doing it all in workmanlike fashion. As I pointed out, they seem to realize they got a job to do, and they're just taking it to Madison. Got to give them a lot of credit.
And I'll tell you what, if the Bears can run the ball like they did tonight, that really bodes well for the future. It really does. And kickoff by Varick. It's a line drive. And picked up, I thought, but I guess it wasn't. Leach is the one that finally comes up with the ball. Dwight Leach and he's a starting running back. I thought the Madison player, that was Bobby Nigham, had been down on the play when he picked up the ball, but apparently the official thought not.
I tell you, this is our first time seeing Madison Central this year, and they look awfully young and inexperienced right there.
They are. They are a young team, and they're not overly big. So let's see how East Brunswick's defense. They are an attacking defense. They're big, they're strong, and they don't allow much. Madison, of course, in the wishbone, too. And the give is to Waitam Bates, and I'll try to pronounce that first name the last time. That's going to be it. We're going to call him Bates.
Wedham Bates.
Wedham Bates.
And
Go ahead.
he's the fullback there, and Madison's going to try to do the same thing that the Bears have done. Establish that fullback and hope he can pick up some yardage and then maybe open up the rest of the game. Let's see.
Quarterback is Jim Iacona. And he stands over center now, calling signals. Give is to Bates again, and he is nailed.
He is nailed by Varnell Johnson.
And Varnell Johnson, we have noted his hitting, and Bates is not getting up.
I'll tell you, Varnell Johnson, slight of built, but he is the lead and comes into this game as the leading tackler for the Bears. And he just put a ferocious hit on Bates just then. I'll
say not only the leading tackler, he's been the hardest hitter for East Brunswick this year. He really has, Phil. I can't see anybody hitting as hard as Varnell has. And, whew.
And I tell you, if Bates is hurt, it's really a real blow to Madison Central. Bob DeMarco had said what he wanted to do was establish that fullback, get Bates off picking up some yardage in the middle early, and then hope to go to the outside. But if their starting fullback is injured, they're really going to be in a hole.
Well, he leaves the field under his own power, and one has to think that he had his bell rung, if anything. So could be back in the game, I'm sure. Nonetheless, Madison is faced with 3rd and 5, and they are on their own 35. 3:38 left in the first period. East Brunswick leads 3-0 on a 27-yard field goal by Ian Cairns. There's the give. Iacona keeps it himself, but he's going to be short by about a yard. Quarterback Jim Iacona, who is actually the 3rd quarterback that Madison has used this year.
I'll tell you, and Steve Zinn's in on that tackle there, preventing that first down. They're very short of it, and apparently they're going to punt. But you can expect Madison Central, they don't have anything to lose, so they may try anything. They don't have a thing to lose. They're 0-7 right now, and they can only go uphill.
Right. Wade Swain, 66, the punter for the Spartans. Deep for East Brunswick is Pilato and Johnson. And Swain gets it off. Nice kick, high, going deep. Johnson looks like she's going to field it. Eludes one tackle, keeps the ball in the reverse, and doesn't get anything.
Matter of fact, he lost a few yards.
Right. Madison, of course, as every other school now that has played East Brunswick, is well aware of the reverse that East Brunswick employs. And the Bears will begin. I believe it's their 20-yard line.
And you can expect the Bears will come right back with that ball-controlled offense. Yin doing much of the work and eating up good, controlling that ball and taking it down the field. Madison one short possession, 3 plays and giving it up.
Offensive line, Matt Pazinko, Matt Skirby, John Leno, Bill Nadonally, and Jim Kale. That's the give. Up the middle, nothing there. That was Nguyen.
And linebacker number 55, Todd Zabini, leading the tackle there.
Nguyen barely gets to the line of scrimmage. And 2 East Brunswick receivers, Papadopoulos and Davis, split wide right. Neary calling signals. And he almost lost it, Phil.
There was a fumble.
Neary recovers his own fumble, but that puts East Brunswick in a 3rd and 10 situation. And you got to watch it, throwing the ball down your own territory. Minute 15 left first period. East Brunswick 3-0. They scored with 5 minutes and 7 seconds left in this period.
Okay, let's see if they look for Davis here. He's doubled up on the right side. I doubt it.
Neary gives it to Pilato, and Pilato, will he get it?
Just short.
Well, we're going to see where it's marked. Pilato on a nice counter. They used that play before down on the other side, Phil.
I'll tell you, fine play. They spread two receivers to the right and Davis to the left, and Pilato came up to counter, but came up just short of it, Jim.
Right, and that means East Brunswick will punt the ball. And Madison will have an opportunity to get the ball back, probably in better field position. And let's see who's going to... Let's see who's going to punt this ball. Is that Varick or Varela? Can't tell. Ball takes a nice bounce for East Brunswick. And there's a seam here, but Johnson, nice tackle by Varnell Johnson.
I'll tell you, just like riding a cow down.
Tell you what, the receiver on that for Madison was Kevin Daly, and all he needed to do was get around Johnson. I think he had a seam to go down the end zone.
But a formidable task. Johnson has that speed and he used the proper angle.
So Madison, with just 37 seconds left to go in this first period, will again try to get something going. They have much better field position. The ball's on their own 43-yard line. That's Iacono. And the give is to Daly, and he gets nothing.
And he is
He
destroyed. Pilato and Zenz then on the tackle. Pilato coming up very strong. Zenz trailing, nailed him as well. It's going to be hard for Madison to get to that outside because they haven't established anything in the middle. And those outside backers in the corners are going to be loose, and they're going to be coming up. So,
right. And East Brunswick, of course, has very quick defensive ends.
That's for sure.
Dixon and Zenz. That's not to mention the linebackers, Pazinko. He just roves all over the field depending on the situation. And I think that's the quarter. Time has run out here in the first period, and East Brunswick leads this game just 3-0. I'm surprised. I guess I shouldn't be because basically it was nothing but running this first period.
A quick period. Madison Central has had 4 plays from the line of scrimmage, and they got to hope to get the ball, have the ball a lot longer than that.
Exactly, but I think at the same time they can't be too discouraged by the fact that East Brunswick has not scored a touchdown yet. Kept them out of the end zone.
Good point, Jim.
So players will just take a brief break here. And you see Bob DeMarco, the Madison coach, talking to his team. And discipline and poise are two of the attributes that Madison Central prides itself in. And that's why you always have to think that the Spartans are in the game, especially with the score 3-0. And I'm sure he has prepared his team this week, and I wouldn't be surprised, Phil, to see a wrinkle or so here, but we'll have to wait. Okay, Iacona calling the signals at quarterback, and it looks like a player for Madison jumped off.
Number 52, Lippert, took off a little early.
And that is the call, legal procedure. So that'll bring the ball back for the Spartans and make it 1st and 15. Just underway here in the second period. East Brunswick.
A good point. You might see some wrinkles, but right now the game is close score-wise. So DeMarco's not going to do any desperation moves. I think he's still going to try to establish something, eat up some clock, keep the score low, and hope for a break here and there. He's got to East Brunswick has been controlling the ball, but he's got to like the situation right now.
Well, we will see what develops. Madison first, 15 yards. And the give. It's hard to say who that is.
I think that's Leach.
Okay. And Dwight Leach, who was the starting quarterback at the beginning of the season.
I'll tell you, they've had 3 quarterbacks. This is the 3rd quarterback, Iacona. So
right.
They've really moved around.
And you see the second quarterback coming in right now, number 2. That's Bob Nigham. He saw action.
And I tell you, Jim, changing quarterbacks is difficult enough without changing quarterbacks for a wishbone offense. You know,
it's really difficult. And that is the offense that East Brunswick and Madison Central run. Second down, approximately 13 to go. And the give up the middle.
Ooh. Little extracurricular activity. The official didn't see it.
Exactly, and carrying the ball on that play was number 34, Mike Morelli. It's the first time we've seen him. And
3 plays and they punt again.
Well, I'm a little confused. I thought there was, unless East Brunswick refused that was only the second play, was it not? Well, did we lose it down on this one?
No, that was the
okay.
That was the third.
All righty. Swain back to punt. He got off a good one the last time. And this is a wobbly kick going end over end.
Ooh,
and it hit an East Brunswick player. Yes, it did.
Wow.
And Madison recovers it. And I believe the victim of that was number 88, Dan Arminio. Did not see where the ball bounced, Phil.
Really, through no fault of his own. He was down there to try to make the tackle, and
this is the type of situation that East Brunswick wants to avoid.
He was down there to block, rather, and just backfire. But again, Bob DeMarco just wants to keep the score down and hope for a break, and he just got a break right there.
And Madison will take over on East Brunswick's 30-yard line. This is the first time they've been in Bear territory. 10 minutes and 8 seconds left to go. East Brunswick still has a 3-0 lead, but Madison is knocking on the door here. Iacona calling signals. Give up the middle. That's good yards this time.
And I tell you, Leach is quick off the ball.
Well, that was the first, probably the best run for Madison this evening, up through the middle. We'll give him 4 yards on the play.
And DeMarco's doing what he wants right now. It wasn't a fullback, but nevertheless, they're going up the middle. They want to pull everything towards the middle there so they can spring one.
2nd and 6. Ball on the 26-yard line. Give again. That's the Bates. He has good yards, and I think he's going to get a first down out of this.
Good hard running by Bates. And Varnell Johnson holding on, luckily, because Bates was still turning those legs.
And a good gain by Waiton Bates. And a first down for Madison Central. They're knocking on the door now. Ball's on the 18-yard line. 1st and 10. Give again, but East Brunswick meets him there.
I tell you, the camera zins. Number 71 is Gerbervac.
And I believe the ball carrier, I don't know who it was, lost some yards on that one. So that'll bring up a 2nd down. Let's call it 10.
I feel the little pop pass or something different happening here. I think we're going to see something a little bit different right now.
Okay. Well, Rob Thiel is split wide to the right. And here comes Iacona, but he can't get away.
I'll tell you. Tenura with just making a fine tackle coming up from the corner spot there.
Brian Tenura.
Hitting him at the line of scrimmage. And we talked about Brian Tenura before, got injured, but he was leading up, one of the leaders up there in tackles, and he's still one of the leaders even though he's missed a game or so.
So Iacona doesn't get anything on that play, and the Spartans are still faced with a 10 yards to go, 3rd down now. Wishbone formation. East Brunswick almost jumps. And that's a give. There's a ball loose. Let's see, is it picked up? No.
Wow. And Madison recovers.
Madison recovers, but that puts them out of field goal range. And but Phil, you know, I don't know who that was. I think that might have been number 17, Curtis Richards. He tried to pick up the ball rather than jumping on it.
He did it right in front of the bench, and Marcus Borden will let him know. You got to fall on that ball. They practice how to do it all the time there. And they would have had the recovery right there if he would have just fell on it. But
he had the opportunity. Well, that fumble forces the ball all the way back 10 yards to the, looks like the 27. So Madison's going to have a 4th and 20. They're going to need to get to the inside the 10-yard line for a first down. Iacona is throwing, but no, he doesn't get it off. And it looks like a fumble. Sure, that was a fumble. I think Varela was the one that got to Iacona, and it was recovered by East Brunswick. Jay Adocio may have been the man.
I don't know. Zins was in there as
Okay.
well, but somebody blew in there so fast they were just a blur, Jim.
Well,
great defensive effort, and at a very important time.
Right, it was a critical time for East Brunswick.
And Madison has called timeout, I believe.
And you're right about that. That was a play. It was a good turnaround for the Bears there. They could have been on the edge if Madison had been successful in scoring, but they do the job. And so East Brunswick now will start on its own 35-yard line. They dodge a bullet there. And credit that play with Bob Varela getting back and causing the fumble by quarterback Jim Iacona. This Madison team is so young. I scan their roster. You see a lot of juniors, a lot of sophomores, and just a few seniors on this team.
Well, I'll tell you, that's good to know. I'm sure it's in some people's mind that perhaps they're not doing so well because when they were winning, they were playing a lot of seniors and maybe not letting some of the younger players play, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
Well, you see DeMarco leaving the field. And so now East Brunswick will start with its third possession of the evening. They have a 3-0 lead. There's only 6 minutes and 30 seconds left in the second quarter. Neary's back to throw. Davis gathers it in and turns it inside and fights his way up to about the 43-yard line. Got gain 8 on the play.
And Davis is Mr. Dependability. You know, he doesn't get a whole ball thrown a whole lot to him, but when he does, you know he's going to catch it.
So a 2nd and 2 for the Bears. This is Neary. He's back to pass. Eludes one tackle. He's got a whole open side here.
Wow.
Here he comes. Nice cut inside.
Flip.
Yep, that's what they're going to call it. Barnell Johnson.
Coming back, trying to help, and
Johnson was on his back. So, Phil, you have to think that maybe he threw the block below the knees, too, below the waist. And you cannot do that in high school football.
And
so that is going to negate a large gain. Well, they're going to call the flag back now.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, after a discussion, they determined that there was no foul.
And DeMarco is hot. He wants to know what's the case there. He said it happened right in front of me. How come there's no clip?
Woo! Well, we talked about the officiating last week, and Phil, I think you were telling me before the game, East Brunswick was flagged for 15 penalties last week against Perth Amboy.
For 154 yards.
Well, so far they've been clean, and this is the second quarter, and that gives East Brunswick the first down. Pilato doesn't get anything on this one. Ball is marked on the 42-yard line.
And a fine tackle by Mike D'Amato, linebacker there.
D'Amato is one of the more experienced linebackers for the Spartans. He's a veteran from the previous 2 seasons where Madison advanced to the Central Jersey Group 4 finals. As we mentioned, they're winless this year, getting closer, though, each passing week. So, loss of 2 yards on the play. 2nd and 12 for the Bears. Neary keeps it and doesn't get anything.
And has just played well by the corner man for Madison Central. He would not let Larry get to the outside, and the middle people came up and filled nicely.
So that's another loss for the Bears. And that brings the ball back to the 47-yard line. So let's call it a 3rd and 14. Bears need to do something right here, Phil. This is Neary. He's going to throw it. And great catch Was that Davis?
That's Davis, of course.
Beautiful play, and Neary's down. He looks like he was hammered after the play, but Davis did a great move to just jump inside and position himself for that catch.
And I tell you, Jim, you said earlier that Davis had 6 touchdowns. He only has 4 touchdowns.
Okay.
And believe it or not, that is only his 9th catch of the
Overall
year.
catch.
And that's incredible. They don't throw to him a lot, but he averages about 30 yards per catch. And he is Mr. Dependable. I'm surprised they don't go to him more.
Well, they are tonight. This is his 2nd catch thus far. And neither one of them have gone for touchdowns. So East Brunswick gets an important first down in this drive, keeps this drive alive with 3.5 minutes left to go in the 2nd period. Neary gives up the middle. That's Pilato. Cuts to the outside. Let's see him break one tackle.
He's
still running and finally brought down.
I'll tell you, Mike Pilato, just a fine run, all-around run. And he's spunky. You got to like Mike Pilato. He gives you 110% on every play.
And you saw it there. East Brunswick, another first down. And the ball advanced all the way to inside the 5-yard line. Let's call it the 3, and it looks like DeMarco has called another timeout, Phil. He is not shy about calling timeouts, I will tell you that. If there's a situation where he can utilize a talking to his team, he'll call timeout right there.
We have 2 coaches on the field that aren't shy about calling timeouts.
That's true.
Neither is Marcus.
All right. And Bears knocking on the door here. Last time they were in the Madison, deep in Madison's territory, they had to settle for a 27-yard field goal by Ian Carnes. This time they hope to put it in. This drive started from the 35-yard line. East Brunswick recovered a Madison Central fumble on a 4th down and has advanced the ball in rather quick fashion here. So the ball, well, let's call it on the 7-yard line from our vantage point. Neary, that's to give to Pilato, and he cuts it inside, and he's inside the 5-yard line.
Pilato picking up about 2 yards.
Well, he couldn't get to the outside, so he just turned it in, and he ran to whatever daylight he had. 2nd down, ball just, let's call it just about on the 5-yard line. East Brunswick needing to get into the end zone. And right up the middle to Yen. And let's see, is he in? He's just shy. Short by about a yard, it looks like. And those tough yards, that's when you call on your fullback.
That's when you call on your fullback, and they have a good one. And you can expect to see him again.
I was going to say the same thing. I don't see any reason why number 85 wouldn't get the call on this. And there he is. And he's in. Chane Yen getting his touchdown. And East Brunswick now jumps out to a slightly more comfortable 9-0 lead with the extra point to come. Score coming with 2 minutes and 5 seconds left to go in the 2nd period. A close 2nd period score-wise. Not too many opportunities by either teams. This is only the 3rd time that East Brunswick had the ball, and they take advantage of it. So this is Cairns. And that ball is up and through. And so East Brunswick 10-0. Chane Yen scoring on a 1-yard plunge.
And the Bears have to be satisfied with themselves with the nice drives that they had. They've been able to control that ball. It hasn't been fancy, but they're picking up good yards and, like I said, controlling the ball.
Meanwhile, Phil Madison has to see what it can do to mount some offense. Really, the only offensive opportunity they had came on a fumble. They couldn't do anything with that. It's been a tough evening for them.
It's been a tough evening. I think if they want to keep a low score, they can keep doing what they've been doing. But if they want to try to pull something out, they're going to have to go to something a little different.
Okay, this is Vera kicking off. It's high, but not too deep. Picked up. That's Nigam, and there goes a flag. And generally, when you see a flag on a kickoff, it's either an illegal block or a holding. We'll wait. I'll tell you, a big play in that drive for East Brunswick was the officials picking up the flag after it appeared
That's
that
right.
Johnson clipped.
No doubt about it. And the Spartans about to be penalized here.
Okay, the call is a clipping. Well, that flag wasn't picked up, Phil. And Madison, already having its problems, will find itself deep in its own end zone. And Phil, I would not be surprised to see the Bears utilize their 3 timeouts here. They haven't called one yet. And if they can stop Madison, there's 1:46 left to go. Now the clock starts to run. And let's see, depending on how Madison does on this first down, East Brunswick may elect to call a timeout. Oh, there's a flag there. Let's see who moved. Well, they're going to call it on Scott Cameron. First penalty for East Brunswick tonight, Phil.
Not bad.
Certainly an improvement over last week. But it comes at an inopportune time in that it provides Madison with 5 valuable yards. And at the very least, the Spartans do not want to give the ball up with time left on the clock.
Well, Madison has a lot of turf, an awful lot of turf to cover if they're going to do anything. And I don't think the Bears are about to let them.
Okay, 1st and 5 as that penalty's been marked off. And where the ball is as good a guess as anyone's. We really can't tell. There's a give up the middle. Bates, and almost gets by. Tenora, the man who made the initial tackle. Johnson was the one that was able to get him down.
Actually, Mike Pilato was the one who finally brought him down. But you're right, Tenora slowed him down, and Pilato came up to stop him.
And that call got East Brunswick by surprise. They were not expecting a play up the middle.
They certainly were, apparently not.
And the clock runs now under a minute. And Madison suddenly finding itself in a position of needing to waste no time. Iacona at midfield. And he drops back to pass. He's going to throw long. Pilato picks it off.
Beautiful.
And let's see, East Brunswick has some room here. There's a block. And finally, Dwight Leach, there goes a flag. Whoa, Bob DeMarco out on the field yelling at the official.
I think he was upset about, it seems Cameron was involved with the play there against the Madison Central player. I believe that's what the flag is resulting from. And
well, Bobby really doesn't have any business being on the field, however. He came storming out
apparently
there.
He saw something he didn't like.
Well, that's what the flag was thrown for. Nonetheless, that's not going to gate Pilato's interception. Was well played. And a personal foul by the Bears. That's what the call will be, and it'll be marked up from that spot.
And unlike last week, the officials are giving the coach the benefit of the doubt. DeMarco was out on that field and giving him a piece of his mind. And
could have thrown a flag.
They could have thrown a flag. They didn't. And that's what we were talking about last week, using good judgment. He was upset because he saw a play that he thought certainly was overly aggressive or unnecessarily aggressive.
By the way, as I look across the East Brunswick side of the field, I see Marcus in his customary shorts.
Well, Jim,
and he has been joined by a couple of other players.
I got the update, and I have the whole scoop on that, and I'll give it to you sometime later about Marcus.
Well, Borden has called a timeout, and you see him walking onto the field, so now a good as time as any, Phil.
Well, Marcus does. Last week I spoke about the fact of the matter is he does have to have surgery after right at the end of this year here, and the brace will not fit under normal pants. Sweat pants look a little bulky, so that's why he's wearing it.
And look at him talking to the official. I mean, he's not utilizing this timeout to talk to his players.
He's telling them, listen, Bob DeMarco walked out onto that field, and
that's his concern.
And nothing happened. And if I did that, you would throw the flag on me. So what's going on here? That's exactly what he's saying to the official. And the official's saying, listen, the time was out. I used my judgment, and, you know, I'm the boss on the field here.
Right. He's got a good point, though. Well, here comes Marcus out onto the field. I'm not sure what time he has left to talk to his players. Probably going to gather the troops in with 31 seconds left to go, Phil. I'm not sure East Brunswick's going to do anything fancy here. They do have a 10-0 lead that they can bring into the locker room at halftime. And you have to say they've withstood the Madison spirited surge at the beginning of the game so far.
But you have to say Madison's probably not so disappointed score-wise. We're talking about a 10-point lead at half, 10-0, if it holds up.
Well, the only concern I have for the Spartans, Phil, is that they really have not shown any ability whatsoever to be able to move the ball against this East Brunswick defense. It would be something if they, you know, they did get that one run by Bates up the middle, but by and large it's been difficult. And the give is up the middle here to Yen, and turns it inside.
I'll tell you, he took a hit. Jim's leaping off his feet to pick up that extra yardage.
And East Brunswick will utilize its second timeout.
I'll tell you, the spirited player, Chi Yen.
Yen makes up 14 yards of that 15-yard penalty, and the play came, I think it was flagged on camera for unsportsmanlike conduct or personal foul, so it came after the play was dead and the first down marker, so that was a 1st and 25.
Right.
And Yen makes up 14 yards, so we'll find East Brunswick with a 2nd and 11. Ball is on their own side of the field, on the 45, let's call it 45-yard line. Again, just 15 seconds left to go. I believe the Bears have one timeout remaining.
And so what do we call here, Jim?
Well, I think you want to be somewhat conservative here. I really don't think East Brunswick's going to be doing anything fancy, but you do have Davis split wide to the right along with Varick, so this does appear to be a passing play for the Bears. But it's give to Johnson.
Ooh.
And he gets around one player. Can he beat anybody? Not quite.
I'll tell you.
And East Brunswick will call its last timeout with 7 seconds left. And let's see, we're going to try a field goal here?
I'll tell you, it's lucky Todd Zabinski, number 55, was continued to pursue. Otherwise, Johnson would have been gone. Zabinski came from the other side of the field.
It was really a beautiful call when you think about it. The offense was really accentuated to the right side of the field, yet here's Johnson on the counter to the left, kept everybody off guard. And that was East Brunswick's final timeout, so you have to think that they're going to try for something in the end zone here.
Well, I think they're going to try for a quick pass and perhaps to have 2 seconds or so left. And
that's a point, but they don't have any timeouts left, Phil. That's the problem, unless it's an out pattern so the player can get out of bounds. And we shall see here. So, Neary will call signals, and he fades back. He's going to throw it to the end zone. There's Davis. He reaches up and just batted away.
I'll tell you, fine defensive play there. Davis was there, but so was the defender.
And we still have 1 tick on the clock.
And that was number 6 for the Spartans, and that's Rob Thill, the safety, and he's played a fine game today.
Yeah, we've been calling his number quite a bit. So we have 1 second left in this first half. East Brunswick already 10-0, and you can bet.
You can look for Varnell Johnson here, I'm sure.
This is Neary, and he evades one tackler. Another is going to try to run it, and then he is down. And that is going to do it. East Brunswick, with this first half ended, out in front 10-0 in a game we think is a little closer than should be, perhaps, but all in all, fine first half by the Bear. Phil, your thoughts?
I think that the Bears have played a fine first half. They're not doing anything to hurt themselves. And Marcus Borden has everything in focus. They don't have to come here and blow this Madison Central team away. What they have to do is win this all-important game, and right now they are in the driver's seat.
All right, East Brunswick in front 10-0 at halftime. We will be back with second half action in just a moment. Okay, we are back from halftime. East Brunswick leading 10-0 here at Vince Lombardi Field in Old Bridge. And as far as stats are concerned, East Brunswick leads in first downs 7-2 over Madison. And if it wasn't for that last burst by Bates, Madison really would have had a negative, almost a negative yardage statistics. As it was, they have a net. Let's see, they had 2 first downs by rushing and none by passing. East Brunswick 6 first downs by rushing, 1 by passing. As far as total yards were concerned, Madison had 50, East Brunswick 130, and you can count in Che Nien as the primary ball carrier. He had 10 carries for 47 yards. Ronald Johnson carried the ball just twice, but does have 29 yards, and Pilato 6 carries for 33 yards. And Neary himself, 4 carries, 21 yards. So East Brunswick with 22 times carrying the ball, Phil.
I'll tell you, you just missed a little byplay as the captains met at the center of the field. Number 33 for the Spartans pushed camera as they broke away. Usually you shake hands there, so a little bad blood. I don't know what that's about, probably regarding that penalty.
I'm sure that was the case. And just to finish out the statistics, Neary was 3 for 5 for 38 yards, with Davis catching 2 for 29 yards, Papadopoulos 1 for 9 yards. That was the opening play. East Brunswick 10-0 now as we're about set to begin the second half action. And Phil, Kammerer is an aggressive player for the Bears, and it was a personal foul that caused Bob DeMarco to come storming on the field. So East Brunswick, having received the first half kickoff, will kick off this time, and this will be Varick. And here we go, and a line drive. That's been Varick's style, but Leach leaps up into the air, catches it, and here he comes. Pilato hits and misses, and brought down by number 32. That's Sheldon Gonchar. And Madison will set up shop now.
Okay, we'll see if Madison can get something going. I tell you, Bob DeMarco can't be too displeased with the 10-0 halftime score.
2 touchdowns and they're on top.
That's
it's as simple as that. So certainly catchable, but they have to show they can do something against East Brunswick. And thus far, they really haven't had too much success. So this is Iacona, and keeps it, pitches out, and Leach tries to get around, and I think they're going to call face mask, Phil.
I believe you're right.
And the question is was that incidental, or is that a serious foul? If it is, it'll be a 15-yarder.
I think in high school it's 15
regardless.
Regardless.
We will find out. And that's the call. So they're going to mark this off. And 15 yards it is, Phil.
And I tell you, they had stopped the young man for about a 2.5-yard gain, and then the penalty comes up, and you know, you don't want to give Madison Central anything.
Right, and that takes them out of a hole and up to about the 46-yard line. We're just underway in the second half. East Brunswick 10-0. Give up the middle. Looks like Bates.
And Wolfskill down the bottom of that tackle along with Jay Adosho.
I apologize if I haven't been calling the defensive names for East Brunswick. I've been so busy trying to find where the yard marker is that we've run out of time, so to speak. But Phil, help me on these defensive names tonight if you can.
Okay.
Bates gets about 3 yards. So the surge for the Spartans is a little better this half. didn't think he had too much room, but he did get, so it's 2nd and 7. Madison Central with the ball. Bates, no.
Oh, he is smothered under.
Well, actually, Bates never even got the ball. Iacona was the one that kept it.
Well, Iacona faked the Bates, and now Iacona was going to step out to keep or pitch, but a host of East Brunswick tacklers are right there.
And that has pretty much been the story for Madison Central this evening. They really have had little success moving the ball, and it starts with being able to handle the quarterback, and that East Brunswick has done. So we'll call it a loss of 3 on that play, and that'll bring the ball back to the 45-yard line. It's 3rd and 10 for Madison Central. And a pitch up the, okay. Nigham had a little daylight there.
I'll tell you, a fine open field tackle by Mike Pilato coming up quick.
And good thing that he did, because Nigham was off to the races. He's a quick one.
And the Bear defense once again holds, so we're looking at a punt, I suppose.
Well, the ball's just around 48-yard line. Swain is the punter. Johnson and Pilato, the deep backs for East Brunswick. And Swain gets off another high floating catch. Pilato calls for a fair catch and fields it just about on his 30-yard line. So East Brunswick does its job the first series. And so they will get their initial action in this second half.
And I'll tell you, Jim, you don't expect too much differently from East Brunswick, and why should they? They've been picking up good yardage up that middle with Yin. They want to control the ball. They just don't want to make mistakes. They know how important this game is, and they want to win it. If they win it by 1 point, it's fine with them. They just want to win this game.
And that is the key. So that really dictates what East Brunswick does. And they will start with a first down on their 30-yard line. This is Neary. And there's an opening here on the left side. Quickly closed, but Yen nonetheless gets about 4 yards on this play. And tonight, Phil, I don't see it being too much as much East Brunswick's power on the line. It seems that they've been calling the right countering plays, catching Madison off guard.
That's right. Madison's pinching, and when they do, they're getting caught on plays. They're gambling a little bit.
Well, we'll give Yen 3 yards on that carry, so it'll be 2nd and 7. Neary back to pass. Johnson drops the ball. Is that a fumble? And that it is. And Johnson, ever alert.
I tell you, fortunately.
And that could have been a disaster for East Brunswick. So that'll have to be counted as a loss. And the ball brought all the way back to the 23-yard line, 22-yard line. And that will bring up a 3rd and 13. So a passing situation for the Bears. This is Neary, a counter again, and Madison is ready this time.
I'll tell you, a host of Madison tacklers this time smell the counter out, and they're there. And they level Pilato.
And a good defensive stand for the Spartans, and they should get the ball in good field position.
And I'll tell you, Marcus is probably kicking himself. They're picking up good yardage going up that middle there. They tried something a little fancy. It just didn't work, but they got out of form.
Okay, this is Varela, and gets a good punt off. Driving wedge deep, back to his 30-yard line. And he's got some room, and then he's nailed by Gonchar. Sheldon Gonchar, that's the second time he's been down on a special teams play.
Fine tackle by Gonchar, and just the finest a punt as we've seen this year.
Really, Varela has been launching punts. The East Brunswick kicking game has been a strength in all ways. You have Varick, who is the one who kicks off. Varela, the punter. Cairns, the field goal kicker, extra point kicker. East Brunswick really has its kicking game, and it is a strength. Nonetheless, Madison Central will continue, and the give is to Nigham up the middle. Doesn't get much. Fast-paced game, Phil. They're not wasting any time, even in between plays.
Game. And I tell you, give Zins and Pazinko some credit there. Pazinko limping a little bit. You always got to worry anytime he seems to be limping. Remember, he came off a major surgery last year, and he's played super this year, but you're always keeping an eye on him.
So a gain of 1. Madison will be faced with 2nd and 8. Ball's on about their 46-yard line. Iacona gives to Bates, and ball, I think, was down.
Apparently he was down. That ball popped out of there. And Wadham Bates, Jim, a little trivia here. Wadham is Matthew spelled backwards, and I understand he was named for an uncle. They didn't want to call him Matthew, so they called him Wadham. Matthew backwards. Tell you.
Well, it is the weirdest spelled name I've ever seen. W-E-H-T-T-A-M. Okay, 3rd and approximately 4 yards for Madison Central. They really need a first down here. And I don't think Bates is going to get it. He lunges forward, gets about 2, and it's a 4th down. And so with 5:18, 4th down and 2, ball's on just inside East Brunswick's territory. But Phil, what do you do here?
And you got to believe Madison Central is going to go for it. They haven't had too many opportunities. Of course, they could kick away and continue to hope that they hold the Bears down and keep the score low. But
well, the problem, Phil, is, as you mentioned, has been not a lot of opportunities. East Brunswick is a ball-controlled team on their offense, which uses a lot of time. And I think Madison's going to go for it here. They really do need this first down. They need to score. Clock is running with 4 minutes and 50 seconds already just left in the 3rd quarter. So a big play here. 4th and 2. And it's
nowhere to go. Matt Pazinko in on the tackle there. As soon as Bates took off, Bates did not pick up that first down.
Really, and really a tough call. It really wasn't imaginative at all, Phil. Just going off a right tackle, and that's one of the strengths for East Brunswick on that defensive line. So the Bears do the job, and they will take over now on their own 48-yard line. They already have a 10-0 lead, and they're going to be looking for more. Well, let's see if they go up the middle here. No, Neary will throw it to Davis. Caught, and they're going to mark Davis's progress at about the 40, let's say just inside the 48-yard line.
Right, Jim, about a 2-yard gain.
Boy, these lines are really tough to see now. And the give up the middle.
Ooh. And Johnson nowhere to go.
And Barnell Johnson not really carrying the ball too much tonight.
And you got Rich Leach and Kevin Daly on the tackle.
So we'll call it no gain. And that'll bring up a 3rd down. And Neary back to pass. There's Davis open, and ball off his fingertips.
And I'll tell you, really unlike Davis there, he clearly was in the open, leaped up, and young ball players have to learn that when you never jump if you don't have to jump. Apparently thought he did, but he should have stayed on his feet, had enough space to just reach up for without jumping.
It was a fine pass by Neary.
It was a fine pass right on the money.
So Varela back to punt. He had a good one his first time. And this is a wobbly one, won't be fielded, and it takes a bounce to the sidelines.
And I tell you, once again, Madison Central sidelines upset. They thought
I thought
Varela's
so too.
knee had gone down, and the official didn't call it. So
I think he missed one, Phil. Varela's knee was definitely down on that.
Well, it was awful close. I don't know if it was down, Jim, but it was very close. And the Madison sideline thought that his knee had actually touched.
Well, the Madison will take over. Looks to be about on their 20-yard line. And DeMarco calls a timeout. So we will have a brief break here while DeMarco talks to his troops.
And I tell you, as you look around, Jim, you think about the last time we were here, and vastly different in a number of ways. Of course, it was for us, the massacre in Old Bridge that night, and that was 1988, I believe.
Well, Phil, I just want to interrupt. Just remember, there was 2 games this year. You're thinking about the 55-3 regular season game.
That's right.
We were back here for a playoff game.
That's right. We were back there since then, right?
Right, 31-7 that same year. But it was a disastrous year for East Brunswick in the respect that Madison had. That was one of the best teams I've ever seen play.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No, one of the very best teams. But you guys, you look around, you got to wonder whether these Spartan fans are fair weather fans. Before we weren't able to even get through the crowd coming in here. This year, of course, they're down 0-7, and it's reflected in the number of people that are coming out.
And you see the stands not too well populated tonight. And a fair representation on the East Brunswick side of the field. East Brunswick fans always bring a good crowd to an away game. Okay, here we go. So this is a first down for Madison. Starts on their 20-yard line. 2:51 left to go in the third period. Excuse me. Iacona, and he doesn't get anything.
Nowhere to go.
There goes a flag. Is there a flag?
I think this is spotting it, Jim.
Okay.
But Matt Pazinko and Gerber back right there, and Madison Central is going to have to come up with something different, Jim. That is just not working.
Well, this is the problem with the wishbone offense. You know, when you need something imaginative, you're really at a loss because there's only so many options that you can work with, and they all begin with the quarterback.
That's right.
So just a gain of slightly more than a yard. Give up the middle. That's Bates. He has running room this time.
And Brian Tenora coming up with a big tackle there. And I tell you, Bates, we saw him do that early in the first half, and looks like he just breaks through and has speed. Not quite enough to really take it all the way, but nevertheless, good yardage by the young man.
Exactly. Given the circumstance, the Spartans needed to get out of their own shadow of their goalposts, and Bates looks like he's advanced the ball up to about the 46-yard line, and Madison will begin there with a first down.
Ooh, little movement on the Madison Central line. Number 50, who is Jack Gillick.
And an inopportune play at this point. So that'll set back the Spartans 5 yards, make it a 1st and 15. Really only 2 plays to speak of that Madison has been successful, both on Bates. Those pops up the middle, similar situations. They have yet to sustain a long drive. Iacona, give up the middle again, same play basically. And that gets about 2 yards.
And something's happening, and I don't think it's just a power ball at all. It's a case of the quarterback actually reading it. If the tackle moves, then the quarterback gives it to him. And a few times they've been fortunate to get some space that the tackle's moving and the fullback sliding through. I don't think it's power blocking.
Okay. 2nd and 11. Ball on the 45. 53 seconds left in the third period. And intercepted by Tenora. He waits for a block, gets one, and he's going to take it all the way.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
An interception, run back for a touchdown by Brian Tenora. And we'll call that interception just on the other side of the 50-yard line. 53-yard interception return.
Just a fantastic play. Brian Tenora, his 2nd interception of the year. We talked about him being involved in the defense so very much in the beginning of the year before he got hurt, and he comes up with an awfully big interception right there.
It was a big one, and he did a great job of running that kick back. He could have been tackled about the 30-yard line, but he waited for a block and then just used his speed to outrun. Cairns with the extra point, and it's through. And East Brunswick now 17-0, coming just with 34 seconds left in the third period.
And that's the 2nd interception we've seen run back for a touchdown this year. Varnell Johnson did it earlier this year against Piscataway, and Brian Tenora coming up with a very big play there.
And the defense once again, getting into the spotlight, as it has all season long. really a crushing touchdown at this
crushing
juncture.
blow. When you consider 10-0, you're driving a little bit. I'll tell you, you got to give that defensive line the credit for that interception, though, because they put tremendous pressure on Akana, and it resulted in the interception.
All righty, 17-0 the score. Varick kicking off for East Brunswick. Another line drive, and that's caught, and again,
The knee.
the knee. Well, they caught it that time.
I'll tell you, we've seen more of that this year than I can remember.
Number 16, Max Stagliano, was the recipient of that line drive kick. And Madison will start just about the 24-yard line, I think.
And I tell you, the wishbone offense is not a catch-up offense, Jim. So Madison Central's in some trouble right now.
Yeah.
They don't look like they're very comfortable in passing situations anyway. So you can expect perhaps a few more turnovers.
Well, we'll wait. East Brunswick's defense, as we said, is opportunistic. Iacana, and give to Bates. He had a little room to begin with.
He had a little room, and Brian Tenura coming up strong. Tenura playing a super game. He came up very strong there to make that tackle.
And that, I believe, is the last play of the third quarter. So, with just 12 minutes left, 1 quarter to play, East Brunswick on Brian Tenura's 53-yard return of an interception jumps out to a 17-0 lead, and Phil, it is looking good for the Bears.
It's looking good for the Bears. They're right where they want to be. I don't see, even if the Spartans should manage to score, I don't see them doing anything to get back in the game.
Yeah, really, they're not going to threaten the Bears. It's there's just not enough time with the wishbone offense, and then the clock just runs so quickly in high school football. So East Brunswick in a somewhat comfortable position here now, and if they are able to pull this game out, you're going to find them with no less than a second seed in the Central Jersey Group 4 playoffs. The Bears very, very pleased to be returning to the state championship playoffs after a year's absence.
Just exciting to think about it. You know, you try to suppress it and whatnot, but the playoffs are the playoffs. Yeah. And that's what you talk about from the beginning of the year, and just to have the opportunity to get back there is quite an accomplishment.
Right, and another thing not to be overlooked is that East Brunswick will clinch the Red Division Greater Middlesex Conference Championship with this victory. So, a 2nd and about 5. Iacano gives it off to Bates again. I'm sorry, that's Leach. Second man out of the backfield.
And I'll tell you, you got Jim Kale and Scott Camera in on that tackle there.
Just about a yard gain.
And we don't mean to bury Madison Central yet, because you have a full quarter, and as we know, anything can happen, but it doesn't appear likely that they can change their game to get back into it.
And this is the 3rd down play, and really nothing. Boy, that's a real tough call to make in that situation.
Well, but it's not even a call. It's just part of your offense. You do things and you hope something to break. Part of the thing about a wishbone is that if you continue doing the same thing, you give them really the unexpected. You're supposed to be reading what's happening. I don't know how much reading is going on there, and if so, can they do anything about it?
Right.
But so you got to stick with the girl that you brought to the dance. And that's what Madison's been doing. It hasn't been working.
Swain will punt. 10:50 to go, 4th quarter. East Brunswick 17-0. And a beautiful punt. Johnson calling for the fair catch. And the play to make on that.
I'll tell you, we've seen some fine punting from both sides today. I don't know if the air's a little lighter here or what, but that ball has been really taken off.
Really was a great one. Just to recap the scoring, East Brunswick got on the board with 5:07 left in the first period. Cairns with a 27-yard field goal. Then the second period, Yen on a 1-yard plunge at 2:05 remaining the first half, put East Brunswick ahead 10-0. Cairns good on the extra point. And then just with 37 seconds left in the third quarter, Brian Tenora intercepted a pass on his own 47, galloped all the way for a touchdown, and that put East Brunswick up 17-0. That's where we stand.
I'll tell you, Varnell Johnson popped at the line of scrimmage. Really stuck.
Phil, I mentioned that East Brunswick, with this victory, will clinch the Red Division Championship. Even though they have one game remaining with Saraville, the best that can happen is if East Brunswick does lose to Saraville, they would be tied with Edison. And they've already beaten the Eagles in a regular season game, so the championship would go to East Brunswick.
Okay.
Second down and 9. There's a pitch up the middle. Pilato, with his ability to break tackles, gets good yardage on the play.
Good yardage before Kevin Daly caught up with him.
And let's see, did they get a first down on that play, I think?
And DeMarco's on the field again there. They're letting him get away with a lot, and then he's backing off right now.
I know Bobby for a number of years, and I have to tell you, he positions himself on the field while play is going on. It may be a yard or two, but everybody has to tell him to come back to the sidelines. And he's still in the game. First down, East Brunswick. Give up the middle, that's Nyen. We haven't called his number too much this half.
They haven't had the ball that much, but Yen has been consistent. He's averaging almost 6 yards per carry this year. So
6 hard yards
really
per carry. Well, he got 5 that time. So the Bears with a 2nd and 5. Ball is just on their own side of the field. Let's call it the 47-yard line. EB in the wishbone. And you can bet they're going to run. Pilato this time, he breaks through the line. And this is the East Brunswick offense at its best. Time-consuming offense. The offensive line making the holes. Ball either going to Varnell Johnson, Mike Pilato, or Chain Yen.
That's true. Kevin Daly for the Spartans, number 3, with a good solid hit on Pilato. And Kevin Daly's played a pretty
spirited
fine game,
game,
really.
Yes, but that it was a first down. Another one for the Bears. Well, this time they got him. That was Pilato. And he probably lost a yard on that play.
And Tom Kitchen, I believe, in on that tackle.
Just to review the perspective picture of the state playoffs, as we stand now, Middletown South is the top seed in power points.
That's Pittsville, right?
Yep, Stephen Michael Pitts, who is one of the state's premier backs. He's been doing the job this year for the Monmouth County team. Yen again on the carry. He gets about 3, so that'll bring up a 3rd and 7. East Brunswick, as we mentioned, just by virtue of its power points, has surged past undefeated Trenton into the number 2 spot. The Tornadoes are number 3, and even if they beat Notre Dame, still will not have enough power points to overcome the Bears.
Right.
And then finally, the old nemesis Edison is lurking in the background at number 4. You got to worry about the Eagles.
Oh, they would just love the opportunity to have a chance to get back at the Bears. And they've been playing good ball.
Well, as it stands now, it would seem that East Brunswick will host Trenton in the opening round game, and Middletown will host Edison. So we'll have to wait. Neary with the ball here, and he keeps it. Gets around, and I think he might just have enough for the first down, depending on where they mark it.
Very close.
And I think we're going to need a measurement on this play. And that is what it is. Mark Neary, one of the few times he's carried the ball tonight.
Leaping up before Burns brought him down, but very close.
Phil, one of the things that I like about East Brunswick this year, they've been doing it a lot of ways offensively, but primarily on the ground. And we get into those cold weeks ahead and just reflect back on that year that Madison Central came to East Brunswick, when East Brunswick had the passing game with Brian Forte. You can't depend on a passing game to do it for you with the weather.
If the elements are against you, it can hurt you. But the ground will always be there. They come into this game averaging 162 plus yards a game, so they know how to move it on the ground. And you're right, it's going to serve them well if they get it going later on.
So they're just short on this play. It's a 4th down, and I would have to think that East Brunswick will go for it. They've had tremendous success moving the ball. They have the major advantage on the offensive line. And in your picture, you see number 60 there, taking up most of the screen. Matt Skirby, he is your right tackle, and keep your eye on him.
I'll tell you, everyone thinks it's going to go to Yin, and it probably should, but you probably could bust one on those counters really, really quick that might go all the way.
And right over Matt Skirby. And East Brunswick grinds out a first down.
And why not over Matt Skirby? We're talking about a young man who's 5'10", 275 pounds.
And growing.
And growing.
All righty. Well, the clock continues to move. We're under 7 minutes in the fourth quarter. East Brunswick leads 17-0. And Neary is still in there. There's a give to Pilato. He gets a couple of yards. Little extracurricular activities out there.
And Bill Donnelly trying to do his job.
So a gain of 3. Excuse me, 2 yards on that play. All right, the officials, sorry, East Brunswick calls a timeout. Apparently it was a little confusion on that play. And rather than risk a mistake at this juncture, I think East Brunswick did the safe thing and called timeout. Borden still going with his first team. That's, I'll tell you what, that's a lot better than what some of the other opponents have done against East Brunswick in the past. The first team has been pretty much sitting on the bench at the third quarter.
That's true, and it's, you know, it's they're getting ready for the playoffs, and these guys have to be ready to go over long haul. There's certainly no reason to pull them out at this juncture here.
Weather hasn't been a factor. There, as you had mentioned, we thought we felt a few drops at the beginning of the game, but that turned out to be not the case. And in any event, there's no wind. It's really a rather calm night, and the elements haven't entered into the play. So East Brunswick will have the ball on Madison's 35-yard line, let's call it, with a 2nd and 8. And the give up the middle, that is, to Yen, and he really doesn't get a lot. Phil, I have to be impressed with the way DeMarco is really coaching his heart out on the sideline. He's obviously not giving up, and I think he's trying to send a signal more than anything else to his young players.
That's right. He's very much in the game, and he's been consistent and whatnot. The team's down, but he's not, and he's been keeping them pumped up despite the record. Looked like Neary didn't want to give that ball away there. Looked like Yin had to almost snatch it away from him. So with that wishbone, you're supposed to feel. It's all by feel. And that time Yin wanted it, and Neary seemed to want to pull it back.
Boy, this would be a great passing situation, but 3rd and 7 for East Brunswick. And there's the counter to Johnson. He's got room, jiggles around one tackle, and uses his speed to get down to about the 10-yard line.
And he is quick.
Fine run. East Brunswick has been exploiting that play all evening long, catching Madison going to the wrong side, countering with that back. That's something that I've seen Saraville do very successfully this year.
And speaking of Saraville, they have Saraville next week, and you can't count them out because they'll be scrappy.
Scrappy. Oh, that's an understatement. Phil, tonight, and we will not know until this game is over, the Bombers are going for their 5th win, which, if they do, will guarantee their first winning season in 23 years.
Wow.
Pilato up the middle, and he surges ahead. Gets some fairly good yardage. That was really a surge by the offensive line. Well, give him 3 yards on this play.
Well,
East Brunswick can still get a first down, Phil.
Well, it's 4th quarter. The Bears like to believe that the 4th quarter belonged to them, and they seem like they're getting stronger. So, and you can see it in the way they're starting to push. It's not so much that they're getting stronger. I think the young Madison Township team is getting a little bit weaker because they're getting blown right off right now.
Okay, Neary, that's the give to Pilato, and
Fumble.
he is caught and fumbled.
And recovered by Madison.
Yeah, I think it's 33.
Mike Amato.
D'Amato. And you got to hold on to that ball down in that part of the...
Pilato was hit. I mean, it was an honest fumble. He was hit and grabbed by the arms, and the ball just came out. And D'Amato was there to recover it.
And Madison calls a timeout again, Phil. Not so much to stop the clock, but to talk things over. And I believe DeMarco is just going to talk to his troops and discuss a game plan here, or a battle plan, to march down the field. They have not been successful in getting into the end zone this game. They had one opportunity in the first half. They recovered a fumble on a punt return. Actually, it was a fumble. It hit an East Brunswick man.
Right.
And they were able to get possession on East Brunswick's 30, but they couldn't do anything with it. Meanwhile, East Brunswick has registered 17 points this evening on 2 touchdowns and a field goal. Not an explosion of points, if you will, but nonetheless, the Bears have done what they had to. So with just 4:22 remaining in this game, Madison will try to generate something of an offense. This is Iacona, the quarterback. Gives up the middle.
Ooh.
Bates, just a little bit of room, but it closed up quick enough.
And you saw Varnell Johnson trying to rip the ball away from Bates there, trying to play opportunistic football.
Gain of 3. And the clock still runs. We're under 4 minutes.
Ooh.
Leach.
And Pilato and Johnson making a tackle, but Leach picking up some good yardage.
Right. He gets probably 5 yards on that play, and Madison needing, let's say 3 yards to go. It's a 3rd down, and the clock continues to run. Now we're about 3:15.
And as I mentioned before, the wishbone offense is not a catch-up offense, so you got to stick with your basic things.
And no doubt this will be a running play. Oh, there's a flag, and I think East Brunswick again jumped offside. And they'll get a 1st down out of this. So that'll stop the clock also, which is probably just as important for Madison at this point. And the clock begins.
All right, Madison wants to get on the board. They get on the board, they're going to feel very good about this game.
So a 1st down for the Spartans. And
little movement by the Spartans.
I think that was 52, Dave Lippert.
So you you take it back.
However, they still maintain the 1st down, so they will have some downs to work with. Clock shows 2:36 left in the 4th quarter. Bears about to wrap up their 7th consecutive win. After an opening season defeat to Cherokee, they have run off in rather impressive fashion victories over some quality teams and have gotten better each passing week.
They certainly have.
Phil, do you look at this victory as something to dwell upon positively, or do you think this is the 17 points that East Brunswick has put on the board? Is that you think you wanted to see more? Iacono doesn't get anything on that one.
He doesn't get anywhere. Camera down at the bottom of the crowd there, but several tackles for the Bears. I think it's a smart victory. I think they got to be very pleased with it, particularly if they maintain the shutout. Nothing's like when you shut out a team, and they haven't let Madison get on the board. They don't have to score a lot of points at this juncture. They knew how big this game was. They didn't want to create any mistakes to hurt themselves, and they haven't done that for the most part, and it's a good victory.
Okay, so the ball is all the way back to about the 13-yard line, and there's only a minute 20 left in the game. Clock relentlessly moving, and not anything Madison can do again with it. Here is Iacona, gives it to Lage, and gets around left end, almost breaks it, but he has run out of bounds at about the, looks to be about the 24-yard line, still short of a first down by about 6 yards. And we're almost at the 1 minute mark.
And I'm looking at camera walking back to the huddle. He looks like he's dragging that leg. I don't know if it's, you know, I haven't seen him drag that leg with the brace on it before, but
well, he nipped it a couple of weeks ago, if you remember, and had to leave the game. But and it's been bothering him. He admits it, but that's not going to stop this player. Give to Liege, I believe.
Again, you got Camera and Vernell Johnson on the tackle.
And Liege will be about a yard short. It's fourth down, but that will not stop Madison whatsoever. Clock runs 45 seconds. And we're fast approaching the end of this game.
It's got to be a pass.
And it's just a give.
I'll tell you.
And I don't think he made it. I really don't. I think he had to get over about the 31-yard line. He looks to be short on this play.
Really short. They had nothing to lose by a little play action there.
And that sort of accentuates what East Brunswick has been able to do. All right, the clock is stopped. Official.
I mean, you got 24 seconds.
Well, they're going to measure it, Phil.
Left, Jim. I'm saying my point was it's a perfect time for a little play action.
And they did do it, and that pretty much is the story with Madison Central. DeMarco had indicated that he felt his team was smart this season, but yet they were in the position where they needed to be, but yet they were over-physical. They were physically dominated in those situations.
And he can't feel too badly about this game. I mean, I'm sure there are others who thought that they would really get blown away, and they've managed to maintain, and it's been a respectable game.
And you see that Madison was short on that, so East Brunswick will take over with just 24 seconds to go. The crowd now, understanding that this game is over with, is starting to filter out.
And we have Troy
Here
White.
goes the clock, and East Brunswick does not have to run a play, and I don't think they will. So 17 seconds, 15, we'll count it down for you. Under 10, and that is going to do it for East Brunswick. And they will come away with a 17-0 victory over Madison Central. Make no mistake about it, Phil, a win over the Spartans is important to East Brunswick, not only because it solidifies their position in the state championships, but just to beat Madison.
It's a win over the Spartans.
Exactly.
Simple as that, right.
So you see the players congratulating each other.
And you see Bob DeMarco and Marcus Borden hug each other at the middle of the field, and you got to like to see that, really.
Oh, yeah. There are two coaches who respect each other. They've been in quite a few wars over the years, and to see them just hugging each other just shows what the camaraderie is in the GMC with a lot of these coaches who respect the jobs that each other's do. Well, anyway, that's going to do it from Vince Lombardi Field tonight. East Brunswick with a 17-0 victory over Madison Central, brings their record to 7-1. Madison Central falls to 0-8, and next week East Brunswick will travel to Saraville to meet the Bombers. So tonight, for Phil Hill, this is Jimmy Allinder saying have a good evening.